Football isn't just about talent. It's about discipline, choices, and sometimes temptations. Today on GoalLine Stories, we explore the 7 deadly sins through the lens of football's most fascinating players. Let's go. Pride is an excessive belief in one's own abilities, importance, or superiority, often at the expense of recognizing the power, grace, or authority of God or others. It's not the same as healthy self-respect or confidence. It becomes sinful when it turns into arrogance, vanity, or a refusal to acknowledge dependence on anything beyond oneself.
You tell me good luck. I don't need luck to perform. I decide when to perform good. When I say I am God, you think I'm joking or not?
You tell me.
I'm not joking.
He's not on the wall.
You know why?
Bronze?
Because they still don't know how God is looking. A FIFA World Cup without me is not worth watching. But the lion cannot miss the hunt. I will qualify on my own and I will dominate.
Surely you have to be registered in a squad.
Regulations are for the regular players. I am Sloth.
You said right now you're the best player in Major League Soccer. There's another player in Los Angeles, Carlos Vela. In this moment, he's got 19 goals, 12 assists, and his team is leading Major League Soccer. Do you still consider yourself the best player in Major League Soccer?
By far. Because if he's in his prime, how old is he?
Carlos Vela's 29.
29. He's playing in MLS and he's in his prime. When I was 29, where was I?
Yeah, you were in Europe.
Big difference.
From his iconic quotes to his refusal to bow to authority, Zlatan has built a legacy not just of goals, but of unapologetic self-worship. He walks like a king, talks like a god, and plays like he was born for greatness. But pride, as history tells us, is a double-edged sword. In scripture, it's the sin that cast Lucifer out of heaven. In football, it can raise legends, or bring them crashing down. Zlatan's pride gave him power, the power to rise from a rough childhood to the peak of European football. But it also made him clash with teammates, coaches, and clubs. For every miracle goal, there was a feud. For every trophy, a storm. So is he a sinner, or a symbol? Maybe both. Because in Zlatan, we see what pride looks like when it wears number 10 and calls itself a lion. Gluttony is when desire for pleasure, especially eating or drinking, becomes excessive and selfish. It's not just enjoying good food. It becomes a sin when it turns into obsession, waste, or loss of self-control. Eden Hazard, one of the most gifted players of his generation. At Lille, at Chelsea, he danced with defenders like it was art. At his peak, he was untouchable, a magician. But after his dream moved to Real Madrid, something changed. He lost the fire. He lost the edge. Reports of arriving too pre-season overweight, injuries piling up, the hunger for glory replaced by a hunger for comfort. In spiritual tradition, gluttony isn't just about food. It's about giving into pleasure until it dulls your purpose. And that's what we saw in Hazard, a talent unmatched, but slowly consumed by indulgence, distraction, and ease. He feasted on the success he already had, and forgot to fight for what was still ahead. Gluttony doesn't always look like greed. Sometimes it looks like wasted greatness. Greed is when wanting more becomes more important than anything else, more than people, principles, or even peace. It's not just ambition or wanting a better life. It's when nothing is ever enough. Neymar Jr., a name once whispered alongside Messi and Ronaldo, a boy from Brazil who had it all, the flair, the goals, the magic in his feet. At Barcelona, he was becoming a legend. But then came the world record move, the €222 million transfer to PSG, a decision that shook football and revealed something ancient, the sin of greed. Greed isn't just about money. It's the hunger for more fame, more control, more spotlight, even if it costs everything else. Neymar left a dynasty in the making at Barca, not just for the paycheck, but to step out of Messi's shadow. But in chasing more, he found less. Fewer Ballon d'Ors, fewer Champions League nights, more injuries, more controversy. And now, in the twilight of his prime, playing in a quiet league far from the eyes of history, fans ask, was it worth it? Greed promises the world, but it often leaves you empty-handed. In Neymar, we saw a star who wanted it all, and lost what mattered most. Wrath is when anger takes over. When you lose control, lash out, or burn bridges instead of building peace. It's not the anger you feel when something is wrong. It becomes a sin when it turns into destruction, bitterness, or a thirst for revenge. Pepe, the Portuguese defender, known for his strength, positioning, and tactical awareness, had the tools to be a calm, commanding presence, but what often defined him was the fire he couldn't tame. Kicks, elbows, headbutts, not just once, not just in the heat of battle, but as a pattern, a storm barely contained beneath the surface. Wrath isn't just rage, it's the refusal to let go, the need to punish, the fury that makes you forget your duty, your discipline, even your teammates. From his infamous red cards to moments of madness that overshadowed his brilliance, Pepe's legacy is a warning. When anger becomes your identity, greatness becomes a casualty. Wrath makes warriors, but it also breaks them. Sloth is more than just being lazy, it's the decision to stop caring. It's when you know you should do something good, meaningful, or right, but you don't, because it's easier not to. And there's no story that captures that better than Mario Balotelli.
Mario gets a yellow card in minute 42, 43. So when I go to the dressing room at halftime, I spend, I would say, 14 minutes of the 15. I was spending 14 minutes speaking only for Mario. Mario, I cannot change you. I cannot make a change. I don't have a striker on the bench. Don't touch anybody. Play only with the ball. When we lose the ball, no reaction. If somebody provocates you, no reaction. If the referee makes a mistake, no reaction. Mario, please. Minute 46.
No way.
Red card.
A talent forged in fire. At 17, he was a prodigy. At 21, he helped deliver Italy to a Euro final. His strength, his touch, his power, it all screamed greatness. But then came the silence. Not the silence of injury, the silence of effort lost, of training skipped, of focus abandoned. Sloth isn't loud, it creeps in quietly, and for Balotelli, it looked like shrugged shoulders, lost chances, and clubs that gave up before he did. He had the tools to be a legend, but tools mean nothing if you never build. Balotelli was lightning in a bottle, but he never opened it fully. Envy is when you're not just unhappy with what you have. You're bitter about what others have. It's not just wanting more, it's hating that someone else has it. Wayne Rooney, a legend at Manchester United, England's record goal scorer, a player with all the talent and drive to dominate his era. But behind the glory, there was a shadow many overlook, the sin of envy. Rooney grew up idolizing players like Cristiano Ronaldo, and as Ronaldo rose to global superstardom, Rooney's hunger to outshine his teammate turned into a quiet rivalry fueled by envy. It's not just competition, it's the bitterness when someone else takes the spotlight you crave. Rooney's fiery temperament and public spats sometimes revealed a man struggling with the weight of envy, wanting what others had, even when he himself was a giant. Envy can push us to greatness, but it can also poison relationships and cloud judgment. In Rooney, we see a man driven not only by ambition, but by a deep desire to be the best, sometimes at the cost of peace and unity. Lust is when desire turns selfish, when it's no longer about connection, but about control, obsession, or using others for pleasure. It's not about love, it's about possession. Few players have ever played the game with the joy, the magic, and the effortless brilliance of Ronaldinho. He made football beautiful, he made it dance, but even the brightest stars can be pulled down, not by injury or failure, but by desire unchained. Ronaldinho's sin wasn't malice, or greed, or wrath. It was lust, the craving for pleasure, the addiction to nightlife, the irresistible pull of the party. Lust, in its truest form, is the thirst for constant pleasure without limit, and it slowly seduced the magician away from greatness. While fans begged for more, Ronaldinho chose less training, less discipline, less hunger. He had the world at his feet, and he laughed, but behind the smile, the fire faded. He gave us joy, but he could have given us a dynasty. Talent gets you on the pitch, but character keeps you there. These players lived through football's deadliest sins, who escaped, and who was consumed. Drop of this emoji if you've ever argued about one of these players. Subscribe to GoalLine Stories for more football like you've never seen before.